Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Well, hello there.
Guys, thanks for joining us once again. Beautiful day here, blue skies, chilly, but we'll take it.
Super sunny.
And tonight, the conjunction
Yay!
and the energies. A lot of people have been saying, so what do you think now? We got the energies from the conjunction hitting us, and they'll still remain in effect for a while, for sure. And, it's been an unusual time.
It really, really has. Yeah, those energies are going to be here for, gosh, I would say they might start to dissipate maybe 6 weeks, 8 weeks.
And meanwhile, we see this is a big statement. Russia could cut off U.S. food and water supply in the next cyber attack. So says Mitt Romney. Whoa, that's a big, big statement right there. So they say Russia acted with impunity when it hacked U.S. government servers in a global cyber espionage campaign and could do a far more damaging blow next time, like cutting off the nation's water and electricity supply. Speaking on NBC's Meet the Press, the Utah senator said the massive cyber attack discovered earlier this week, which officials say could be the biggest hack of the American government ever, must be met with a vigorous response and without delay. I don't know if we have the capacity to do that in a way that would be of the same scale or even greater scale than what Russia has applied to us. But this is something we have to address as soon as possible, said Romney. They potentially have the capacity to cripple us economically. They went to our businesses. They have the potential to also cripple us with regards to our water, electricity, and so forth. They don't need rockets to take those things out. Mm-hmm. Wow.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's definitely attention grabbing.
It's interesting how these things always seem to escalate around elections. It's always around an election time that you get all this, drama coming in. Mm-hmm. Not to say it can't be manifested or made real. It could. And I shared with you guys back in 2016, I felt like we were really close to WW number 3. And it feels like that is a possibility as well. And then when we look at what A.G. Barr says, he says Russia appears to be behind the SolarWinds hack, after Trump points to China. And I've seen comments too saying, yeah, it's not Russia, it's China, or yeah, no, it's not China, it's Russia. It's all about confusion.
Oh my gosh, is it ever? And they're doing a good job.
Yeah, interesting. So, asked about the breach during a news conference, Barr agreed with Secretary of State Pompeo when saying that Russia appears to be behind the cyber attack for infiltrating thousands of institutional systems. And, basically, potentially gaining control over the strongest weapon systems that the U.S. has.
I know, who was guarding the door when this happened?
Right. And I've been telling you guys since 2017, when the first channel started, that, this is all stuff I have seen going back to being 19 years old when I first started to kind of get the visions of this time. And it's really playing out. It's interesting because I didn't know how it was going to play out. I could just see certain things that come, and Cindy gets this as well, and she's seen it too. And there's so much deception and misdirection going on. Now, Russia and China, they do military exercises together on a regular basis. Mm-hmm. They're part of BRICS economically. Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. And BRICS has been, creating their own economic system. And there is, there's definitely, the foundation's been laid for, global confrontation of the highest kind. Before anything seriously could happen, there had to be economic decoupling, which has been ongoing, and it's been escalating, especially in the last 4 years. So, it's obvious that we're heading to this, and, then when we have people like A. Pike, 33
degree.
Yeah. Who just said in 1871 that there's plans for 3 WW apostrophe S's.
Mm-hmm.
And we see the U.S. Commerce Department list 103 Russian Chinese companies with alleged military ties. So, that whole economic decoupling is increasing, obviously, and as well as, the economic warfare. And we talked about strange placement of our Navy. And we see here, Navy sends nuclear sub to Strait of Hormuz as the anniversary of the Soleimani killing approaches. So this is the USS Georgia, and transiting the Strait of Hormuz today, solstice. Yep. And I was eagerly looking forward to see what Fleet Tracker was going to show, because, the last 2 weeks we had 4 groups, basically circling our country. That was weird. People picked up on that. I picked up on it right away, and then I saw a lot of other people were reporting on it too, because I like to check this every Monday when it comes out and see if anything unusual. Well, now we look, 3 of them disappeared. They're not listed anymore. It's interesting. But the total number of ships deployed, it actually increased by 1. 297 underway as opposed to 296 last week. So they just don't want to show us where they are right now, is basically what I'm getting. You guys, share your opinions. You see two groups over here, off of China and Japan, and 2 moving within range of perhaps Iran, in the Middle East as well. And we've talked about the fact that, in eastern Syria, again, you got a mess. You have U.S. troops, Russian troops, Turkish troops, Syrian troops, and then you have, the quote-unquote terrorist groups there as well. Don't forget about Syria, because something could happen in Syria. Again, that could be a triggering event. We've forgotten all about that with everything else going on in the world, but it's still there.
It's definitely, we can't stop paying attention to these things. I think especially if it fades into the background, and we need to pull it up and look again.
So why aren't they showing us these other 3 groups? The Essex, the Gerald Ford, and Iwo Jima. And, I just scoured the news. I didn't see anything really stated for any of those. Why not show them? If they're still in the same position, why not show them? Or are they in the same position? Everybody off on leave, having a good time partying, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, there's nobody there guarding the door.
Well, yeah, that gets me thinking about, Trojans bearing gifts.
Oh, yes.
Or actually Greeks bearing gifts,
Mm-hmm.
To Troy. And, is that the case? Interesting. So Russia's nuclear triad reached level of guaranteed security and its defensive posture in 2020 and beyond. Well, Putin, as we had said, did a big address, which is normal. And it's interesting that he says basically they've been doing upgrades. They've been doing upgrades even though they don't spend but maybe close to 1/20th of what the U.S. military spends on the budget. But we know, there's a lot of pork.
Mm-hmm.
$100 nails and $1,000 hammers in our budget, I'm sure, as well as a lot of black ops and stuff. So it's interesting, though, because their level of readiness is higher than it's ever been, even at the peak of the Soviet Union and the Cold War.
Yes, and, we really need to pay attention right now.
The Russian Navy this year received almost 30 warships and vessels, including 2 submarines. They've been modernizing, and they've been, amassing a lot of equipment. They've been testing it as well. So, yeah, it's interesting because by mid-December 2020, the share of modern weapons and equipment, upgraded modern weapons and equipment in the Russian troops is already over 70%. This is within the general purpose forces. In the nuclear forces, 86% is updated. Ooh. Thus, our army and most importantly, the nuclear triad reached a level that makes it possible to guarantee the security of Russia, Putin said. Now, the rate of change has been rapid for sure. During the Soviet Union, the general purpose forces in the Soviet army share of modern weapons and equipment at that time was 54%, and strategic nuclear forces at 65 to 70%. In 2000, the level fell all the way down to a critical level of 12% of conventional and nuclear at 35. So they have just gotten done with a massive rearming of, the top equipment they can have.
Yeah, it's like they just topped everything off.
And Japan approves 9th military budget increase in a row for F-35's missiles and Aegis systems as well. Japan's been spending because of the perceived threat from China. And, sometimes perceptions are reality as well.
It sure is, yeah.
Now we wanted to talk about our friends and family over in the UK. And you see here, the UK is bracing for possible shortages of some foods as France closes the border to take trade over the new mutation that's going on. Mm-hmm. And so, it's a perfect storm. And there's certain countries that feel like they're getting the brunt of the storm worse, and they happen to be under the monarchy, and that's just a simple fact. The UK and Canada and New Zealand and Australia, again, they're all still under the protectorate of the crown. And it's not good because there's definitely going to be food shortages unless things change rapidly.
Mm-hmm. That's right. That's concerning.
Yeah, we've been talking to people all day and getting that there's a lot of depression out there. We were talking to one of our family members up in Canada in a small community, and there's 6 or 7 people that recently decided they don't want to stay in this world anymore. And so they left of their own volition. Yeah. And, that's never talked about. At least it's not talked about in the news, unfortunately. And think about it. We've heard of families that they can't even consider paying their bills because they're not going to have enough money just even for whatever food is available.
I know, and those are decisions no family should ever have to make.
And, you could just read the headline there to understand what's going on. And, it's not a good situation at all. It's just a different time we're in. Again, to me, it feels like 1930s Germany on a global scale all over again.
I know. And, it's really important that we stand back and recognize and not let this pull us down.
And meanwhile, when I saw this, because I had heard rumor of this a while ago, but I didn't know they were going forward with it, they do have a new version of Stephen King's The Stand that's coming out. And so this article is just about the fact that they're casting somebody that's not deaf to play a deaf part. And, I think the bigger thing is, that if you guys know that movie, Captain Trips, we're talking end of the world scenario with horrible escaped pathogen. That was a creepy book. The book was better than the movie. The movie did not do the book justice, but I read that book through in a few sittings, even though it was massive.
Yeah, and this one was pretty hard for me to, watch.
So they're redoing it. They're redoing it, just what everybody wants when we're actually living it.
Oh, I know. Leave it to them, right?
So, guys, we want to thank you so much for your support on Ko-Fi and Patreon. Make sure you're subscribed, click the bell, get all the notifications, hopefully. And stay prepared out there. God bless and namaste.
Namaste.